mountain tigers. The Gorki Terelj National Park is located 60 kilometers east of Ulaanbaatar. It is one of the highlights of Mongolia. This is a spectacular valley with high eroded rock formations, pine-covered hills, steppes with edelweiss, and a dazzling variety of other wild flowers, and sparkling waters of mountain rivers. In order to protect areas of the Gorki Terelj, regulate usage and develop tourism, in 1993 it was declared a national park and an area under state special protection. There are a lot of very interesting and surprisingly beautiful places created by nature itself, such as the Milhi Rock, shaped like a turtle, the Camel Rock, the Cave of Three Friends, and Chingis Mountain. There are many hotels, tourist centers, and health centers. The Chinggis Khan Statue Complex. A giant statue of Chinggis Khan on horseback is near the city of Ulaanbaatar in a place called Sonjin Boldog. The entire edifice is covered in 250 tons of steel. This is a 40-meter high statue with a high base, covered by stainless steel and surrounded by 36 columns. The haughty yet honourable statue is surrounded by 36 columns which represent the 36 Mongolian Khans of Chinggis Khan's golden generation. Visitors ascend to the exhibition hall using an elevator at the back of the horse and walk to the horse's head by passing through its chest and along the back of its neck, from where they will have an excellent panoramic view over the complex area and the scenery beyond. A recreation area, restaurants, souvenir shop and conference hall occupy the base structure. As the story says, when Chinggis Khan went to Khared to ask for help, he found a whip on this Sonjin Boldog. He was very happy and took this as a good omen that he would be very fortunate. This whip is made in large scale and is located here. And there are the biggest shoes in the world that have been entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest shoes. The Hustai Nuro National Park. Hustai Nuro National Park is located 80 kilometers from Ulaanbaatar and covers 500 square kilometers of land. The national park has beautiful birch forests and more than 10 freshwater streams, and is a home for horses, antelope, deer, wild boar, marmots, and 126 species of migratory birds. Many works have been implemented to protect the ecosystem and historical and cultural heritage of this gorgeous and beautiful area, as well as organize research studies, surveys, and trainings with the international framework and develop ecotourism. Since 1992, the Mongolian-Dutch joint program to acclimatize the wild Taki horse, that is the world's only remaining species of wild horse, has been successfully implemented. The project today now has over 220 Taki in the Hustai National Park. The Mongolian Gobi. The Gobi is located in the southern area of Mongolia. The Mongolian Gobi is the largest desert in Asia and the 5th largest in the world. There is the largest population of two-humped camels that has become very rare in the world. The domesticated Bactrian camel has a tolerance for cold, drought, and high altitudes. In the world, there is an estimated population of 23 million camels, of which 3% are two-humped camels, and Mongolia has 40% of them. The Gobi's Gurvan-Saykhan mountain is located in the southern region of Mongolia and consists of 3 separated ranges stretching for 100 kilometers. The park lies on the northern edge of the Gobi Desert. A number of rare plants and animals are found in the park, including the elusive snow leopard and the Gobi camel. Areas of sand dunes are found, most famously Hongren Els, the Singing Sands. Another major tourist destination is Yoli Nam, a mountain valley 200 meters high that contains a large ice field for most of the year. In the Gobi, there are such wonderful places as Hermenzag, Bayanzag, Tugrugin Shire that have the richest archaeological remains, including dinosaur skeletons. In 1922, the US paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews' team found a fossilized skeleton of a giant lizard and a giant egg in Bayanzag from the time 80 to 83 million years ago, and they are now stored in the Museum of Paleontology in the United States of America. The Hongor Dune. The Great Hongors Sand Dune is located in the Gobi Gurvan-Saykhan National Park. This is the biggest sand massif in Mongolia, which covers 130 kilometers from the northwest to southeast along wind currents with a width of 3 to 5 kilometers, and in some areas 20 kilometers. The height of the higher sand dune, named Hanan Els, is 195 meters. The movement of the Hongor sand makes a unique noise, and it's called the Singing Dune by local people. From the top of the hill, 100 sand dunes are visible. On the south side, one can see the Rocky Mountains. In the midst of this are the sands, where it is impossible to grow even a single plant. And in the northern part is a very beautiful green oasis where the river flows. In the Gobi, there are many fine and very beautiful places, such as Ich Gazrin Chulu, or large land stone, and Baga Gazrin Chulu, small land stone, that have very unique rocks with sharp peaks and unique forms. The Tsagan Survaga is sharp and dangerously steep. The clay coaxed out of the ocean floor is eroded by natural phenomena during years, generating the impressive and legendary cliff. And Mongolians have honored it since ancient times by calling these escarpments the Tsagan Suvarga, or White Stupa. The Mongol Altai Mountains are a mountain range to the northwest of Mongolia, stretching for 900 kilometers. The Altai Tavan Bogd National Park is the most picturesque and largest area, combining the eternal snow of high mountain peaks, icy rivers, aigi of mountains with a glacier covered with snow and ice. The mountainous areas of the Altai Mountains are inhabited by the Kazakh ethnic group. The Kazakhs are the largest ethnic group descended from the Turek generation and living in Mongolia. Although the lifestyle of the Kazakhs is somewhat similar to the Mongol nomads from the steppe, their culture and language differs in many aspects from that of Mongolians. Apart from herding domestic animals as the main source of living, it is common for Kazakhs to hunt with trained eagles. For Kazakhs, hunting with eagles is one of the highest expressions of their cultural heritage and is asserted with pride. In 2010, eagle hunting was registered on the list of intangible cultural heritage of the UNESCO Cultural Heritage Fund. The Orkhon Valley cultural landscape lies in the central part of Mongolia and covers grasslands along the historic Orkhon River. The archaeologically rich Orkhon River basin was home to successive nomadic cultures which evolved from prehistoric origins in harmony with the natural landscape of the steppes and resulted in economic, social, and cultural policies unique to the region. The main monuments of the Orkhon Valley are as follows. The so-called Orkhon monuments are early 6th to 8th century Turkic memorials to Bilgi Khan and Kul Tigin, the most impressive monuments from the nomadic Tuareg Empire. The shining monument of Bilgi Khan is a 3.3 meter tall, unique historical inscription documenting the renowned Orkhon heritage in the world history of science. Within the cultural landscape are a number of archaeological remains and standing structures, including the ruin of the 8th century's Uyghur capital of Har Balgas, covering 50 square kilometers, with many grand and majestic palaces, monasteries, halls, and other buildings from the 8th century. There is also the 13th to 14th centuries ancient Mongol imperial capital of Karakorum city ruin, the remains of the palace of the Mongolian Khan from the 13th and 14th centuries when Ogedei Khan lived. Erdenzu, the earliest surviving Mongol Buddhist monastery, the Tuvkun Hermitage, and the Shank Western Monastery, located 2,600 meters above sea level. Karakorum, or Karakorum, is the first official capital of Mongolia. In 1220, Chinggis Khan founded the first Mongolian capital city in the Orkhon Valley, and the city was built at this time as a center for troops and weapons caches. In 1232, the main castle fortress was built. Buildings were completed by his successor and son, Ogedei Khan. And in 1235, he created the Tumen Amgalant Palace as an expression of strength and power of the Khan's state and symbol of development and prosperity. Thereby, Sakhalin became the most beautiful and majestic, which reflected the view of life and the face of the Mongolian Empire. The greatest work of art by artists and craftsmen was the famous silver tree of Sakhalin at the Tumen Amgalant Palace in the city center. At the top of the tree rose a trumpeting angel. When the Khan wanted to summon the drinks for his guests, the mechanical angel raised the trumpet to his lips and sounded the horn, whereupon the mouths of the serpents began to gush out a fountain of alcoholic beverages into the large silver basins arranged at the base of the tree. In the 13th century, Sakhalin served as the city for inviting tourists and travelers, relevant officials, dignitaries, high classes of society, academics, and representatives of all religions, including Buddhists, Christians and Muslims, shamans, traders, and those from adjoining civilizations of Asia, Europe, and the Arab world. Erdenzu Monastery is the earliest Buddhist monastery in Mongolia. This monastery is located adjacent to the ancient city of Karakorum. 102 stupas were built during 100 years with donations from faithful believers. Erdenzu Monastery is a sacred place where one can find the preserved base of the Ger of Abtai Sain Khan, who retained the fireplace and hearth of Chinggis Khan, as well as stupas and monasteries where ancient historical monuments are saved, and the best masterpieces of religious art made by Mongolian national craftsmen from the 12th to the early 20th century. The Orkhon Valley is one of the most important cultural regions in the world and was recognized by the UNESCO World Heritage as a cultural landscape in 2004 from evidence that, for many centuries, the Orkhon Valley was viewed as the seat of the imperial power of the steppes. It was inscribed by UNESCO on the World Heritage List as representing the evolution of nomadic pastoral traditions spanning more than 2 millennia. Orkhon Valley National Park has many natural landscapes with unique geographical features such as the Orkhon River and Huis 8 Lake and the Orkhon Ulan Sutkaran. On the north bank of the river Tamir, in the Orkhon Valley, the grained granite cliffs of Taicher Rock are located. This stone is trapped in the mountains. The water year is gone over time to stay at the beautiful creation of the nature. The Horgo Nature Reserve is a unique attraction amazing everyone by its beauty of nature. This place was taken into state protection in 1965. The Horgo volcano erupted 9,000 years ago. The diameter of the volcano's crater is 300 meters, with a slope of about 50 degrees and 100 meters depth. The volcanic eruption caused ground cracks and fissures extending 100 kilometers, and where the Suman and Chulut rivers now flow. The freshwater lake Terhin Tsagan Nur is located near the Horgo volcano. Terhin Tsagan Nur is an astonishingly beautiful lake with crystal clear fresh water. Torrents of lava issuing from Horgo volcano blocked the north and south Terh rivers, thus forming the dammed lake of Terhin Tsagan Nur. In the small island at the middle of Terhin Tsagan Nur lake, birds make their nests and lay eggs. Black ducks come to the lake and dive 5 meters to eat fish. Mongolia features diverse wildlife species. Mongolia has 1,500 species of insects, 300 species of creeping animal, amphibians, 80 species of fish, 415 species of birds,